She said, I ain't going nowhere and I ain't paying for nothing. Wanna know what I'm talking about? Child, just keep watching the video. What's up, Fantastic family? It's your girl Fantastic, and I'm back with another video. If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you returning, hey girl, hey, how you doing? You saw this title, you heard my intro, you already know it's going to be some foolishness going on. I went to Cancun back in mid-June. Went by myself, totally by myself. But once I got there, I was going to be there with a group of other travel agents. So I've traveled alone, so it wasn't going to be no big deal about me being alone. Hey, it's Cancun, 7 days. I met a lady there. Never met a day in my life, but it's like, we came on the same flight. We're from the same state. We kicked it off. Our first meal, we sat down. I was sitting down eating, and she came and was like, hey, is anybody sitting there? And we ate and we parted ways, and then I got dressed and went to dinner. And when I got dressed and went to dinner, she was sitting there waving like, hey, come eat with me, come eat with me. So I sat down and we talked, and I think that's when I realized we from the same state. We just a few hours away, and from that point on, we were very inseparable. I mean, we conversed, text, just, we did the thing. It was like, it wasn't like a stranger. It was like I had been knowing her my whole life. We got to talking about church situation, and we both were familiar with this church, and so that was like pretty cool. She's a government worker. I won't say where, and I won't say her name. So she was pretty responsible. I wasn't half listening to the stuff them folk were telling us. And I showed one read no map. And we had schedules, and she was always, we looking for some. Go this way. Go that way. The map says this, and we're supposed to be here. She was always on her P's and Q's. So when it got to the last day, this surprised me. We'll back up to the day before. We had to do COVID tests to leave the country. I happened to look at my COVID test. It says masculino. I'm like, I don't speak Spanish, but I'm only imagine what masculino means. So had to go that Saturday morning to correct my COVID test. You need your COVID test, a negative COVID test, in order to leave the country. We wanted to do some things that Saturdays, since it was kind of a free morning. But it's always business before BS. So I had to take care of this COVID test. So everybody, we kind of conked out because we had been drinking the night before and just, out on the resort chilling. And I was telling everybody, get your stuff together. We had immigration papers, we had our COVID test, and our passport. And then we had they have this visit tax that you have to pay. And I said, I didn't pay it coming. I said, but they may want it coming back, and I won't get stuck in this country, so I'm gonna pay this COVID test. And a couple people were like, well, I'm gonna pay at the airport. And I'm like, well, the airport was kind of, the Wi-Fi was kind of spotty going. So I'm gonna do it while I got good Wi-Fi, and I'm gonna pay this visit tax. It was only like $11, a little under $11 American dollars. And I said I'd rather pay it because I just don't want no surprises. So I pulled out the immigration papers. And I was like, y'all make sure y'all have this paper too. So everybody was like, oh yeah. Need me immigration papers, need me immigration papers. And this particular person, their son had called them and upset them pretty bad. And the whole mood changed. And I was like, what's going on? What's, your whole mood, your whole, everything has changed. And she's like, oh, my son called me and had me to look up something, and it was a trigger for me. So that's why my mood is funky. So everybody scrambling. They like, oh, she a buzz killer. She a buzz killer. She on the business. So let's get our stuff together. So she was like, well, I'm gonna wait till I go to the airport. And I'm like, okay. So everybody got their paperwork together. One girl, she had no idea where hers was. And she found, hey, I got it. I was like, put your stuff together. Our flight didn't leave till like 6:30 that night. But we were in Playa del Carmen, so we were over an hour from the airport. In Cancun, traffic is absolutely horrible. I think they said a main line burst, and there was a big pothole in the street or something. And anywhere you went that was outside of the hotel zone, you were in traffic maybe an hour or two. And our bus was supposed to pick us up at 2 o'clock. Keep in mind, traffic backed up and you're an hour away, and we had a 6 o'clock flight. So it was going to be in enough time. Well, lo and behold, the bus didn't show up until 3. The Wi-Fi on the bus, they usually have Wi-Fi on the buses, it didn't work. So it was a good idea that we got everything we needed. Because you had to have a health questionnaire with your QR code. You had to have your COVID test with your QR code, your immigration papers, and then your visit tax with the QR code. So the Wi-Fi didn't work. We stuck. We get to the airport. It's like 5 o'clock. The airport, the bus door wouldn't open with all our luggage. So we sitting there, and he just struggling, trying to get the bus open. But we just standing there like, oh my God, we gonna miss the flight. Everybody gonna miss the flight. We were all on charter flights, most of us. I think it was Louisiana, Tennessee. Yeah, everybody else had left like earlier that day. So we were like, oh my God, it's an international flight. And you know, if it's an international flight, you really need to be at the airport 2 hours early. So we thinking, oh, we're gonna miss the flight. And after them, okay, so we get the van open, and I'm struggling with my luggage. I got 2 big old, full to the brim suitcases. I'm truly struggling with packing. I'm one of those overpackers. I'm gonna have everything I need, everything I use at home, I'm gonna have it in my suitcase. So I'm struggling. And she came and snatched one of my suitcases and was like, come on girl, come on, let me help you. We gonna miss the flight. So she took my suitcase and she took it all the way into the line. But I didn't get in line. I didn't know she was telling me to come up there. It was a couple of people in front of me. I didn't want to just walk over them and skip them. So I was in line at the back. So she came and handed me my suitcase. We stand in line, stand in line, stand in line. Waiting, waiting, waiting. And we thinking, oh my God, we're going to miss our flight. You know, they were an hour late. We were stuck in traffic. And then they couldn't get our suitcase. Oh my God, we're going to miss our flight. So then somebody came through and said, everybody on the Vacation Express charter flights, they're going to hold the flights up an hour because we were late getting to the airport. So I'm like, oh, that's some relief. That's some relief. So what they do in Cancun, not just Cancun, but in the Mexico airports, while you're standing in line, some of the clerks will come through and check your documents until you get your documents. We had been standing in line an hour maybe. And here come these ladies checking the documents. When they get to the front, I don't have it. And I'm like, what? I don't have it. So they told her, well, you're going to have to get out of line and you're going to have to go down there to immigration and pay $40. And she was like, I ain't going no MF word. And I ain't paying a blank thing. So I'm looking at her like, girl, you trying to go home. I ain't going nowhere. And she just looking. I probably never had it because, I mean, I don't remember seeing it since they gave it to me in the airport. I probably never had it. And I'm like, let me check your suitcase. Girl, that's okay. I'm a fan. She upset. She getting loud. It's a whole nother, let's call her Shaquita. It was the professional Shaquita at the resort. Now we at the airport. It's the hood Shaquita that came in. I ain't going no MF word. And I'm like, please, let me check your luggage. Dude. Let me check your luggage. No, I got it. And I know that when we were in Cancun, her travel alert wasn't activated and she tried to use her card and had some issues. So I didn't know if they had turned her travel alert on. So I'm like, need to take my credit card? Take my credit card. Keep in mind, we had got tight this week. I'm like, just take my credit card in case your card still ain't working. Take it, you know, number $40. No big deal. So she finally walked off. I get to the counter, get my boarding passes. Remind you, this is a private charter flight, so there's no online check-in. You got to literally go to the ticket counter and literally get a ticket. So I get through security. I gotta use the bathroom so bad, but it's like I gotta get to the gate, because it was literally, if I'd stopped to use the bathroom, I'd have missed my flight. So I'm rushing through the airport. Check one bag, got one bag. I'm rushing with that one suitcase trying to get in. I literally was the last person to get on a plane. I walked back, put my suitcase up, went straight to the bathroom. Because like I said, if I'd have used it in the airport, I would have missed my flight. So I'm looking, they closed and stuff. No Shaquita. I text her, hey, Where you at? Are you okay? She texts back, no, N-O-O-O-O-O with a bunch of O. And I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? They wouldn't let me back. They said, they were closing the thing. She literally got left in Cancun because she could not find her immigration papers. Because the documents that we needed the visit tax. But you ain't hear this from me. It's on the honor system. Ain't nobody there collecting it. They just walking around with a sign. Pay your Mexico visit tax. Make sure you pay your Mexico visit tax. And when you pay the visit tax, they give you a QR code that's supposed to be scanned. But nobody was there to collect it. So I paid it and really didn't need it, but I'd rather have it, get to the end and have it and not need it, than get to the end and need it and not have it. If you follow what I'm saying. You needed your COVID test, your visit tax QR code, your COVID test QR code, your immigration papers, and your health questionnaire QR code. You needed all those things to go through, and she had everything but the QR test. And then it was another guy, he had partied the whole time. Him and his wife, they I'm gonna call them the turn up kings and queens, because they were turning up. They from New Orleans. He owns a very successful travel agency in New Orleans, and they were just, I ain't gonna say it was, but if you go back and watch my Cancun 2021, they were putting shots in my hand. Here, you gonna take this shot, and I'm saying I'm opting out. No, you gonna take this shot. They told us, check your test, check your COVID test, check your COVID test, check. Told us that the whole time. Because somebody picked it up and then they distributed it to us at dinner. And I didn't realize it till later when I was actually just looking at it. And it was quite a few people COVID test was wrong. I don't know what they had wrong on his, but he couldn't leave either. And I'm like, wow. So he had to take another test in the airport. And by that time, his flight to New Orleans had left. So he had to get a private flight or whatever, and it was just crazy. So I'm texting her because I'm thinking, wow, I left her. And our tour guide, he thought, we came together. He was like, your friend left you, and she was like, I don't really know that lady, we just met this week. But it made me kind of feel bad, because I'm like, dang, I done left her in Mexico. And she was like, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to sit right here. She sat in a restaurant, and she had her laptop. And she searched, and she found a flight. But a darn credit card wouldn't work. So here she go again. She called her husband and said, send me the front and the back of your credit card. I don't know what the difference between, and it wouldn't work on one airline, but then when she went to another airline, it worked just fine. And I'm like, wow. So I called her, and she was like, I'm gonna sit right here. I ain't going to no hotel. I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna sit right here. I felt so bad that, I mean, if anywhere in the world I want to be left, it would be on the island. But I guess that's frustrating. You want to go home and you can't. And I talked to her the next day, and she's like, I got a flight. It's a direct flight to where she lives. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then the darn flight was delayed. However, she did get home. I think it was delayed a couple of hours, but she did.